Development continues, and that brings us to a focus that we want to look at today. In fact, the fact that there continues to be a lot of investment in the tourism sector, many new developments coming in and trying to, well, carve a niche for themselves. To speak into this, we have with us at our I&M City Center studios, Mr. Husnain Nurani. He is the Group Managing Director at the Prideinn Group. Karibu sana. Now, it is interesting that the Prideinn Group itself, despite the fact, of course, that you have been an investor in this country for many years, one of the recent, especially large and modern developers at the coast in Nairobi and other areas, why are you investing at this particular time?
Okay. One of our recent investments has been in Mombasa at the Prideinn Paradise Beach Resort. And this is something that we had invested in 2014. At that point in time, I think Mombasa was not very well known for investments. And in fact, everyone wanted to exit out of Mombasa. And as at that time, we realized that there was a huge potential. Whenever we looked at Mombasa, there's one question that I always used to ask myself, that why hasn't Mombasa concentrated on MICE tourism? And that's how we went ahead to invest in Mombasa and built a 300-room beach resort with a convention center of 2,500 people, all spanning over 16 acres with 4 pools, 3 restaurants, 3 bars, which, as much as we were initially slightly worried, but I was very confident that the MICE tourism will definitely pick up, and I think it has been fruitful. And just the other day, I'm happy to announce that we've also acquired the Flamingo Beach Resort, which is 138-room beach resort spanning over 22 acres. Over the past 4 months, we have been running it under management, and recently we concluded the deal. And that's our second investment in Mombasa. That only shows the hopes and the trust that we have in the government and in the president and in his administration for Mombasa. But apart from that, we also have other investments happening in Nairobi. And we still have some huge aggressive vision within the country itself.
Talk a bit about the aspect of diversification, Mr. Husnain. The fact that traditionally it was a bush and beach affair where tourists would come to the coast, go to the beaches, then go to the Masai Mara or some place like that. Today there's much more to that experience, especially the fact that the organization seems to have a heavy focus on the meetings, incentives, and associated sector. And conferencing is a big business for you.
Actually, yes, it's always been beach and bush yes. Traditionally. We saw a huge opportunity in the MICE business, and I still believe, and I have huge hopes. In fact, recently we were at the IBTM, at the Incentive Business Travel Market in Spain, Barcelona, and there is a huge scope for the MICE business. And this is what we are trying to incorporate at our Prideinn Paradise Beach Resort and Spa, is a concept which is known as bleisure. Bleisure with a B and not with a P. This is what we mean by saying is business and leisure combined.
Yes.
We all know how people within the corporate world are becoming busier and busier by the day. And we don't generally have time for families. You could be in early morning meetings, late night dinner parties, cocktails. And this is when the whole idea of combining business with leisure, and that's the reason why at the Prideinn Paradise Beach Resort and Spa, we decided that we are going to put a safari-themed aqua park. So whenever there's, along with the convention center, such that we encourage the people, all our businessmen and women who come in for business, they could actually yes. bring in their spouses and families together. So whilst the families are enjoying at the aqua park and enjoying the facilities of the hotel, business could go on as usual.
Yes.
And generally, after business, you could still get along with the family and have some quality time with them. So it serves the best of both.
Yes. Talk to us about the fact that tourism organizations here in Kenya are starting in a big way to look inwards. Before, it used to be the fact that we would look across the oceans, across the seas for major clients. That's creating the high and low season and that sort of fluctuations. But today, the local tourist is a big aspect of the sector and the business itself. What are you doing in order to tap and reach out to that market?
Actually, at the moment, apart from, we all know that beach has always been considered as one of the biggest places for holiday. And we have our major focus within our brand has always been within the business market and focusing on the business industry. It is in Mombasa that we diverted slightly towards the leisure industry. As it now, our major plans are more focused towards venturing into more like city hotels within the various counties. Our short-term vision is 10 hotels over the next 3 years. We are looking at opportunities in various different counties. Example, like we're looking at Kisumu, we are looking at Eldoret, we are looking at Meru. We're also looking at Lodwar. Those are some of the few counties that we are actually venturing into. Voi also. So within our expansion, what we are actually looking at is, as much as we are focusing on the business hotels, but how can we combine the elements of leisure aspects? So if, for example, if we go to Voi, we'll be looking at how can we position our hotel very close to the parks or very close to the gates of the parks, so that that way you could still come for business, but still have an element of leisure within it.
Well, finally, let's talk about the operating environment, the fact that we have been in the middle of an election for quite some time now, but with the swearing of the president, we are now looking towards the next 5 years of trying to get business back on track. If there was one thing that you would say that we need to get right in the short term and over the next 5 years, what would that be?
First, I must congratulate the president and his government. I think the SGR, the Madaraka Express has been a very beautiful investment. It has been a big blessing to Mombasa and to the country in general. This has really made logistics and transportation to and from Mombasa to Nairobi much easier. And I think this is one of the biggest achievements that have been seen over the past, that have been seen, and we encourage that investments towards transport and logistics to be continued going forward. As at now, I think our tourism board, the KTB, is doing a fantastic work in terms of Tembea Kenya. They have this campaign, Tembea Kenya, where they're really trying to market various locations across the country. Yes. Although I do see that at the moment, what the immediate short-term push points should be in terms of how can we create more awareness for the different counties, for the different parks. Like the other day, I was at Rusinga Island, which was, at Lake Victoria, which was beautiful. And it's just that we need to create a bit more awareness of those sort of things. But for now, for the short term, I think December has, in terms of business in Mombasa, is looking very good. Our occupancies at the moment are showing already at 70 to 80%, which is very good. And tourism has been very resilient this year. So, and especially we want to thank the local, our local people who have been very supportive in terms of local tourism. They have been supporting Mombasa throughout, and in fact, not only Mombasa, but also the various hotels that we have. Yes. And at the moment, I think one of the biggest things is trying to see how the government can immediately work with maybe Kenya Railways to try and see how can we have, in the short term, maybe for December, how can we have more schedules going into Mombasa and back? Yes. But also apart from that, trying to see how they can have communication with the airline operators to try and increase frequencies. Just yesterday, I was asking about, we were trying to find out if there's any availabilities on the Madaraka Express for December, and the whole of December for Madaraka Express on both the morning and the afternoon schedules are fully booked. Yes. So I'm still imagining that we still have a lot of inquiries that are coming through, but people are finding it challenging to access transportation, and flight fares are showing already. Flights are also very fully booked. So I think in the short term, trying to see how we can counter that by creating more accessibility, maybe perhaps more schedules. Yes. And also trying to encourage, for those people who are in Mombasa, trying to see how we can encourage more of the tourism coming towards Nairobi and the other counties. Okay. If Nairobi can go and invade Mombasa, why can't Mombasa come and invade Nairobi? We have some fantastic offers that are lined up for the festive season in Nairobi, which encourage people in Mombasa to come over to Nairobi. Yes.
So thank you very much, sir, for your time. That, of course, is Husnain Nuran. He is the Group Managing Director at the Prideinn Group, a man with years of experience in driving the tourism industry, and, of course, pointing to the fact that with devolution, the group itself is now starting to look towards the counties for more business. On that